welcome back to day 38 of our Jewel Cichlid Fry journey. Can you believe it? We are already 38 days into this amazing adventure. From the first tiny wrigglers clinging to the gravel to the free swimming fry and now to nearly juvenile fish. It's been such a transformation. Today we'll focus on something really exciting. That's exploration and independence. At this stage, the fry aren't just staying close to their parents, they are starting to spread out, testing the waters, and showing hints of their future personalities. So let's begin with the obvious and let's start with growth. Now, by day 38, you would have noticed that the fry have grown quite a lot. So they are no longer tiny. Okay, they no longer have those translucent bodies. Instead, they're taking on a more defined fish shape. You can also see hints of their jewel like colors beginning to shimmer faintly, especially under proper lighting. Now, the reds and the iridescent greens that make jewel cichlids so famous will eventually begin to show. But at the moment, you can just see a kind of a black stripe along their bodies. Now, their fins also are much more sharper and their swimming is more controlled, more purposeful, and more smoother. And what's fascinating here is the transition from fry to juvenile. So they're not fully grown yet, but you can already tell that these little ones are preparing for the next stage of life in the cichlid world. Now, let's focus on the parents. So, the parental behavior at this particular stage on day 38 is characterized by guarding versus freedom. And we see that when we speak about jewel cichlids, one of the most striking things about them is their parental care. Even now, on day 38, the parents are still keeping a close watch. And you'll notice that the adults patrol the tank, often swimming the boundaries of where the fry are venturing. So, if a fry strays too far, the parents may gently nudge them back, reminding them of safe zones. But compared to earlier days, there's more freedom that's allowed. The parents aren't herding them as tightly as before. This is because the fry are stronger now and are better able to handle themselves. So, this stage is almost like elementary school for the fry. They are still under parental supervision, but they are also learning independence. Now, by day 38, exploration becomes a key behavior. So, you'll see fry darting into nooks and crannies of the aquarium. Some are bold, swimming further out, while others stick close to safety. Now, this difference in behavior often hints at personalities. Some fish grow to be leaders, while others are more cautious. And also, we see that the group is less tight knit than before. So, they are spreading out and covering more of the tank. Now, this widening of territory is very important. Why? Because it prepares them for life where they'll eventually need to claim their own space. Cichlids, as we have already known them by now, are very territorial. So, this early practice is really important for them. Now, let's speak about the feeding and hunting skills that have evolved around this time. So, the fry now are capable of eating larger food particles. So, it's not only just tiny powders or infusoria. So, crushed flakes or baby brine shrimp and even micro pellets are all part of their diet. And therefore, you'll notice how they dart and snap with precision, practicing the hunting skills that they'll need as adults. So now feeding times are now less about survival and more about skill building. So they are learning to compete, to chase, and to be alert. And it's fascinating to watch, almost like watching kids go from drinking milk to handling their first solid foods. And what about the social structure, you may ask? Now, jewel cichlid fry interact constantly with each other, sometimes peacefully, sometimes with tiny mock chases. Now, these aren't harmful fights, but they are rather practice for adult behavior. They are rehearsing what it means to defend territory or to establish a hierarchy. You might even see a few fry developing slightly faster, becoming the big siblings of the group. And therefore, this diversity in group and behavior ensures that in the long run, some will become dominant breeders, while others may take supporting roles in a larger community tank. Now, at the same time, we ask the question today, is it time to move them to grow out tanks? Well, the answer to that question is a bit complicated. I'll tell you why. You've seen the fry already beginning to show independence, but grow out tanks have their own challenges. In the sense, we see that the fry in the grow out tanks will be all on their own. So, therefore, when we speak about any kind of predator or any kind of danger, then they are more vulnerable to that. And also, we see that will they be able to handle such a big shift in water conditions? Well, the answer to that is yes. They will they will be able to handle that. But now also when we speak about grow out tanks, we generally would refer to something out in the open. So if you're planning to keep them in another aquarium all by themselves or maybe in a large enough container, then that would be good. But still, maybe you would want to make sure that at least they reach the size where they can, eat pellets, where you don't have to depend on powdered food. Now, the reason for that is similar to what we have spoken about water conditions. So, when you put powdered food, sometimes the food would settle down to the bottom of the tank if the fish don't consume it. And as a result, you'll see that there's a lot of debris remaining down. Now, when it comes to using pellets or other food, what remains down will only be the waste. So, if the fry are big enough to eat pellets, then it would be safe to put them in a bucket that's large enough or in a tub that's big enough, because that will help them to grow and it will also help you to keep the water clean, because clean water is absolutely essential. So we'll have to wait for a few days before we take the decision to put them into these grow out tanks. So as we wrap up on day 38, what have we seen? We have seen that the fry are bigger, stronger, and starting to show color. We also see that parents still care but also allow space for independence. And we have seen a group dynamic that's shifting from tight safety in numbers to wider exploration. So each day brings us closer to seeing these fry become the stunning jewel cichlids they are meant to be. So thank you so much for joining me again on this journey. If you've been following since day one, you know how special it is to witness this transformation. And if you're just joining us, don't worry. You can always catch up on the earlier episodes to see the full progression. So until tomorrow, keep watching, keep learning, and keep marveling at the beauty of life underwater. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the updates about the jewel cichlid fry. And most importantly, we are now waiting for the right opportunity to shift them to these grow out tanks. So, till then, happy fish keeping.